It's another issue because when God visits you and you don't seem to understand the wonder of God, you grieve God. When God visits you, you undermine what he has done, you grieve God. That means you're far from God. They did not remember the mercies of God. God shows you mercy and you think it's your right. And then you relate with God as if he had not shown you mercy. And he began to tell us some of the things that the fathers had actually done in the past, and used the picture of the Red Sea and how they got to the Red Sea, the wonders of God at the Red Sea, and what God did. He recounted, even though he was not in that generation, but he admitted that their fathers, they wronged God. Even at that, he could still tell God that he could sense the mercy of God working in the life of his fathers, even though that they didn't know the work of God. He's a merciful God. So when you're saying God is a merciful God, he is indeed a merciful God. He's a merciful God. When you don't even appreciate what he did, he's still a merciful God. When you still don't understand what he did, he is still a merciful God. And he is telling God that you've been merciful. You're full of long suffering. Your mercy is evident that we benefit from. They rebelled at the point when they were meant to cross the Red Sea. The Lord still showed his wonders because David had fallen so many times, but he knew how to bounce back. I believe it's a skill we should know. Praise be the name of the Lord. The skill to bounce back. Are we here? The skill to bounce back. David had this level of humility that was disarming. He could disarm God with his humility. And so many times he proved it. He would roll on the floor. He would show his love to God. You all know the story. Even his wife. The Bible said that his wife looked at him with disdain, the way he was really dancing unto the Lord. Michal. Now, the Lord had given David rest. And the Bible said that it came to pass while he was still in his house, that the Lord, when the Lord had given him rest from all his enemies, note temporarily, that the king said to Nathan the prophet, "See now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of God dwells inside tent curtains." And that was a big concern to David. And now watch what God began to do. And God began to reason. Remember the other psalmist that we looked at refer God to the time when he saved his children from bondage in Egypt. And God now also referred to that same event of the Red Sea. But he now explained it differently in terms of the context of what we were reading. The Bible said that, verse 4, "But it happened that night, the word of the Lord came to Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant David, Thus says the Lord, would you build a house for me to dwell in? For I have not dwelt in a house since the time that I brought the children of Israel up from Egypt." God said, do you know, I've been placed where I've been placed. I have not complained. When I delivered the Israelites, I have not complained. I've been in a place. Nobody had reasoned the way you're reasoning, David. Nobody had been so mindful of whether I dwell in a tent or a cedar. That is to say to you, vast majority of people oftentimes relate with God based on what they will get from God, and they forget, and they seem not to care about how God feels. And here we see God referring David to that moment. So people were doing their own things. God was looking. God said, I wasn't mindful of that. I really didn't care, David. I love your reasoning. God was literally telling David, I love the way you reason. For even bringing this thought you has gone somewhere. Are we here? And David was saying to the Lord, that Lord, you have brought me this far. Do you know what David was saying? He did not commit the sin of the forefathers that the psalmist talked about, that our father has sinned. They did not understand your wonders. David said, I understand your wonders, Lord. You brought me this far. And David is saying, I will not forget. Lord, you're too much.